Now the latest ITV News in the Calendar region with Ian White and Lara Rostron.
Good evening, welcome to ITV News. This is Wednesday night's calendar.
Yes, good evening, and here are tonight's main stories.
DNA breakthrough. A convicted rapist who's protested his innocence for 20 years could be cleared after new evidence emerges. His time inside was life-changing.
It's overcrowded. You know, they're all overcrowded. They just cram them into the rafters. And just horrible. You're constantly on your guard.
Still on song, Tony Christie prepares for a new tour and album while revealing his dementia diagnosis.
My wife taught me, she says, don't be afraid of it, you know, why don't you talk about it? There are a lot of people out there who have it, who hide it, and who are frightened of it.
Also tonight, is there a new iron in the fire at Scunthorpe?
Yes, there is. In the last 15 minutes, it's been announced that David Hilton has completed his takeover of Scunthorpe United. We'll have more details later in the programme.
And top of the pops, the unsigned Yorkshire band who could take the #1 spot this weekend. Hello and thanks for joining us. First tonight, a man from Grimsby who spent 17 years in jail for a rape he says he didn't commit is hoping the Court of Appeal will clear his name.
Now 57, Andy Malkinson was convicted in 2003. Now he stayed in prison for longer because he refused to admit to the attack. Another man has now been questioned after advances in DNA allowed further testing. Katie Oscroft has our top story.
Is this good?
This was Andy Malkinson's first taste of freedom for 17 years. He could have been released 10 years earlier, but he refused to admit to a crime he has always said he didn't commit. He's on licence, but still a convicted criminal.
It felt great to be out of the confines, obviously, not to be physically held. It felt great, actually, yeah, because I longed to be free for so long. But I'm not free still. I'm still not free.
Even as you were convicted in court, even as you were sent down, you were protesting your innocence then, weren't you?
Yes, all the way, yeah. I shouted out, I am completely innocent when they convicted me. And again at my appeal in the High Court.
Andy has no idea why he was arrested in 2003. He was accused of raping and strangling a woman in Salford. He was then convicted after being picked out in an identification parade. No DNA evidence linked him to the scene.
What happened to Andy is deeply shocking. It's a wrongful conviction. It's something that didn't need to happen. He's spent 20 years of his life under the shadow of this conviction, 17 and a half of those in prison. To make sure that there are no more Andys, we need better disclosure, we need better transparency, we need a criminal justice system that's truly open.
I and my team are delighted that as a result of the development within forensic science, we were able to uncover something that does give a real possibility that the Court of Appeal might overturn.
Andy's case has now been referred to the Court of Appeal. DNA preserved from the scene has now found to be a match on the national database for someone else. Andy says he's lost almost 20 years of his life waiting for this breakthrough.
Those lost years were, it's a black hole. I've got a black hole just behind me filled with nothing. Just filled with joylessness, misery, horror, pain, psychological torture.
He now wants to be cleared of the crime he spent years in prison for, and he wants the system which left him there for so long to change.
And Katie joins us now from Westminster. Katie, good evening. What's the next step in the legal challenge?
Well, Ian, first of all, talking to Andy this afternoon, he was pretty shell-shocked, really, after all the emotions he's been through. He described prison as a horrible, violent place. Now, the next step, his case will go to the Court of Appeal, but he doesn't know when yet, and that fresh DNA evidence has got it there. And Andy is as hopeful as he's ever been that his conviction will be quashed. But he says this won't compensate for the years that he's lost and the life that has passed him by. And what he's concerned about is that there are others in this position, and that's why he says he wants the system to change so that this cannot happen again.
Katie in Westminster, thank you.
Next tonight to the
Didn't need to happen.